Hello and welcome to my video tutorials with Asterisk and Raspberry Pi. This video was inspired by all of you viewers who watched my video tutorials about setting up Asterisk on Raspberry Pi and connecting up Cisco phone. Now this is quite unorthodox to connect a Cisco phone because they work in a completely different environment, they have completely different protocols, so there's quite a lot of work to actually get them to work. Yeah, it can be done, and I'm going to take you through a few installation steps that you can take in order to have your Cisco phone hooked up to your little Raspberry Pi and running your little call center. So first things first, obviously you already have your Cisco phone. Probably it's just one that you just got off some auction. It's got skinny protocol on. It's completely useless, you know, to you. It just doesn't work. So what you need to do, you need to create a TFTP server and put loads, convert the phone into SIP and upload all the config so that the phone can then connect to your Asterisk and start synchronizing the setup so you can connect and work in your system. So first things first, I like to do this on a separate device. So my Asterisk is completely off everything else. It's just Asterisk, and now any support servers are separate. Now there are many reasons behind it, but it's purely for contingency, just in case if something happens to your Asterisk SD card. You know, you might end up with the whole network being completely down because, well, you need the DHCP server that sends instruction to TFTP, and if your Asterisk die, everything else basically is gone with it. So I like to keep things on separate devices, so there's this additional contingency just in case if something happens, your own network still is up and running and you can still perform tests and repairs. So first things first, we've got this Raspbian Jessie Lite. I just got the image of Raspbian Jessie Lite, and I've installed it onto my little Raspberry Pi, and I've just done my updates just to make sure that everything is up to date, everything is fresh. This is just a fresh installation. So first thing what I like to do, I like to put Webmin on. You know, it's good to put code in, but I do like the web interface, sort of internet based, you know, click to install GUI. So what I'm going to do, first thing, I'm going to go for Webmin. Now this is quite useful if you've not heard about Webmin, if you've never used it. Go to webmin.com/deb.html. There's an instruction how to install it. Pretty straightforward. Basically just copy and paste the installation link. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to enter the installation into the Raspberry Pi Debian installation, Debian image. So there we go. And so this is actually the download. So the Raspberry Pi is now downloading Debian off the server. So that's the first step to get it work. Now that you have the package on your Raspberry, you need to unpack it. So another command, you unpack this. Okay, so there. Yeah, because you basically need a root privileges, so sudo and then unpack. So now this is preparing to install, so we can go back to our previous image. So this is basically what we are now doing. We're installing Debian. This will take a while to unpacking. This will take a while because I'm actually running this on the old Raspberry, so it takes a little longer than on Raspberry Pi 3, but all the Pi 3s I've got actually doing something else. So this is just my experiment Pi. So bear with me while this is unpacking, and we'll resume once this is done. Okay, so we kind of installed Webmin, and as you can see, it's throwing us a few errors. because there are usually dependencies problem. Depends again from what installation you have. This might show, or it might just install without any problems. So just if I show you on the side, it actually tells you if Debian complains about dependency problems, just perform this this action. So essentially take this code and paste it over here, enter, and it will fix. Well, it should fix. Bear with me. So again, it's sudo because I'm just a regular user. Let's do it this way. There you go. So now it's fixing all the dependencies, and we should have yeah, packages. There you go. So that's Webmin set up. So next I'm going to show you how we can actually access Webmin from your browser. So we're going on to the next browser. Right. So once we copy the first installation command, we'll probably get some dependency errors. So you get like error dependencies required. As even it's suggested on their website, if Debian is missing dependencies, you need to perform this. So again, if you're just a Pi user, not root, it's sudo followed by this code, and I've done this already here. And there's also a bit of a problem. So just basically copy with the suggestions that Webmin is giving, and let's perform this. And this should probably install Webmin without any problems. So just go for it, and everything probably looks fine. And once all that's done, we'll be able to access our Raspberry through your browser. Takes a bit of time because this is the old Raspberry Pi, so it's a bit slow. So I'm just going to pause this video and I'm going to come back once the installation. Installing Webmin does take a while, so if nothing is happening on your screen, don't worry. It takes, you know, anywhere between 2 to 8 minutes, depending off your SD card and on the version of your Raspberry Pi. So again, don't worry about it. It does kind of take a while to install Webmin, so you know, don't panic. Okay, so Webmin is now installed. It literally took forever. I mean, it takes about 15-20 minutes to set up on the old Raspberry Pi. So again, if you see that there's nothing happening on the screen for a while, don't worry, just go make yourself a cup of tea and come back to it. As you can see on this screen, everything seemed to be okay, and Raspberry is now giving us access via port 10,000. So on my installation here, we're going to go to 192.168.1.113 port 10,000. You might get errors saying this is not secure because of the certificates. But don't worry, just proceed. Log again. So now we don't have to do everything through SSH. Essentially, the full control of Raspberry is via Webmin. So if we go over to, let me just go to transition, there you go. So essentially everything that you want to do on the Raspberry is now click to play, rather than copy paste, enter, edit. So there you go. Yeah, first things, you know, this is the first load. I've not checked this. I've just sort of loaded this up. We already have something to update, so you know, install updates. It's always good to keep everything up to date, because whatever changes, you might have some problems further down the line. So let's allow this to update, and oh well, there you go. Well, actually, this is now complete. No. Now, first things that you want to do, because a Cisco phone will not work on just sort of plug and play. It is one of the most difficult devices to set up on the regular network. You need to set up a little infrastructure that supports this phone and make it work with the environment that you have set up. Number one, you need a DHCP server. Now, the reason for it is DHCP server has options that allow you to specify boot file and boot file server. So when the phone is connected to your network, first thing it will look up for the IP address. So the DHCP will assign an IP address to that device, and will also send a set of instructions saying, oh, go over there and fetch all those files and load them up. So essentially that's what you need, the separate DHCP server, unless you have a really sophisticated router where you can add that command into your DHCP and specify the boot file where the device should be looking for that. Let's start setting up the DHCP. Okay, so to install DHCP server from Webmin, it's pretty straightforward. Where you go, it's unused modules, and find DHCP server. Click on DHCP server, and there you go. Click here. This is why having Webmin has advantages. It just it's a click to install, click, 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 rather than looking for commands and then fixing problems. It's fully automated, and it's written by people that prefer this way of working with Linux. It's altogether quite convenient, especially if you have a few of those devices in your office, and you have different servers on different devices, and you want to sort of instead of just looking at a black screen and doing this sophisticated coding, you can just go into the Webmin panel and check system and pretty much do everything. But I don't know, it's a lot simpler. I mean, I do prefer over the SSH. I think this is pretty much now installed, so let's just have a look in our servers. So there you go, the DHCP server is here. We're not going to do anything with it just yet. We'll need to create a subnet, but the next step will be to install the TFTP. So I'm going to show you how to go step by step with the TFTP, and then to set the DHCP. Next, we're installing TFTP server. Pretty straightforward. There are only two commands to work with that you need. First one is to install, and the second was to edit. So if we go back to it, I've already installed TFTP, and now I just need to edit the file. So just there you go, click there. What we need to change, username is fine, directory, that's what we need to change. And this is tftpboot. That's fine. And one thing I found is helpful is this little alteration. And there you go. That should fix all your problems with your TFTP. So now that's done. So I'm just going to exit and save. And there you go. So if you just go back and just make sure that I've saved the save. Yeah, tftpboot. Yeah, it's all looks absolutely fine. And on to the next. Okay, so the final steps is we're going to go to Webmin and File Manager. Remember, we've just changed the path to the TFTP. So if you go to tftpboot, this is your destination for a CISCO phone load. So all your CMF defaults, XML, bin, all the files need to go into this tftpboot folder. Now, depends whether you run this together with Asterisk. You need to set permissions. I think if you run it together with Raspberry Pi with Asterisk on the same device, I think it's 777. But if you run it on a separate device, so let's say you've got Asterisk running on one server, and then you have another device that runs TFTP and DHCP, that can remain to be 755. So that's where all your phone loads go. The next thing is to set up your DHCP server and point your device to the directory where all your files are. So we add new subnet, and it's I don't know, Raspbian DHCP4. It's 192. 192. There you go. That's number one. Netmask 2. There you go. That's there. Address range will start from 1. For security, you might want to give 10 or 11 addresses. Depends how many devices connect to your network and whether your router has access control that can be verified by device's MAC address. This is, for additional security. If you have a work network and you just want work devices to connect to it, you don't want sort of any other random devices to connect, that's usually a good idea to specify a certain range and then set your router up to verify a device based on the MAC address. Simple. Number 2, okay, we're moving on. A boot file name, okay, that's unnecessary. Boot file server. So essentially, this is the server. This is on this device has all the TFTP files. So again, if you running this, okay, let's say as a setup that you've got TFTP a server on somewhere else, you can specify where the TFTP server is. So for example, TFTP server is running on your Asterisk, but then your DHCP server is on a separate device. Then obviously you link it up together. In this instance, this device is running DHCP and TFTP server on the same device, so you just leave it as this server, and if there's anything else that needs attention, and I'm just skipping this, do let me know in the comment section below. So there you go, just click create. Another thing you can also change, which is helpful, if you go to this network, edit client options, and you can edit your NTP server, and I think there's also DNS. If it doesn't work with your bind, you can specify 8888 or 8844 and a safe. So NTP server, that will be helpful to update your device time, and then you can use the public NTP server address, and that should also help with displaying current date and time on your CISCO phone. So save, and pretty much that's all in its doing. It's pretty much complete now. We can also execute a few commands just to see if the TFTP is working. So there is this nice, neat command, which I'm going to enter in here now, just to see if the TFTP is working. There you go. Everything is green. I think. Yeah, it looks green. So it is fine. So just upload your files. Make sure you reset your network. Now you're running a DHCP server on one of your Raspberry Pi. Just remember, you can only run one DHCP server on your network. So if your router runs automatic DHCP, you have to disable that, because it will just mess everything up and it won't work. So go to your router, disable the DHCP, and just reset everything, all your devices on the network. Just switch it off, switch it back on. So when the network restarts, new sets of instructions are being read and distributed through your new network, and that should be absolutely fine. Now, another question I had from one of my viewers was to set up a public tftpboot folder. And there is a way of doing it. You just have to go and allow or deny host, but this is beyond the scope of the tutorial. Another thing with tftpboot depends where you're running it, where the tftp server is, whether it's running together with Asterisk or whether it's running, like in this instance, on a separate device where there's just DHCP and tftpboot. You have to make sure that the boot tftpboot folder permissions are correct. So for setups, let me just go to my cheat sheets for setup on Asterisk. So let's say you've got the Brave version, I call it. So you've got Asterisk, tftp, DHCP on one. Permissions should be, I think it's 777, but if you run it in, like in my instance, so separate device, DHCP, TFTP, that's it, then it's 755, and that's also something to look out for. And I think that's probably all information that you need to successfully set this up. I mean, I've been recording this video literally on the fly, so if you found any errors, or have you got maybe a different method of doing things, maybe a bit better method, do drop me a comment in the comment section below. If you found this installation, this tutorial video useful, helpful, you know, do click thumbs up, share, subscribe, and I'll try to answer your questions or suggestions and create more videos like this. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope this was useful, and I will be hopefully uploading more of these videos very, very soon. Thanks again, and have a good one.